going to show you how to get started with Google Jamboard. Now, why would you want to use the Google Jamboard tool? Well, I have found Google Jamboard to be so useful in my live lessons to be able to hear from every single pupil in the class. Now, I know you can use the chat feature and it's so useful, for example, even when you're doing the chat waterfall technique to hear from every pupil. But what if you want something a bit more engaging, a bit more vibrant, a bit more interactive? Then this is the tool for you. So in this session today, what we're going to look at is how do you create a frame that everyone is able to collaborate on, share their ideas on, and contribute to. This is an example of what we're going to make today. During a live lesson, what I did was I did a quick temperature check just to see how everyone was getting on and understanding the material of the lesson. So what I've got here at the top are 3 post-it notes. And then what I did was, as they joined the frame, I asked them all to put their own name on a post-it note, and we all started with everyone's name down at the bottom, like this. And then I asked them to categorise how they felt they were understanding the material, and then they were able to bring their own post-it note up to whatever category they sat in. Also, what you can do is in the middle, you can even ask other questions, and then as you're asking the question, they can move their post-it note to the particular category. So how do we do this? So go to Google as normal, and I always make sure I'm in my school C2K account. Then to the left of that, you can see this little waffle icon, and that's all of our Google apps in there. Click the waffle icon, drag down. Jamboard is down in the second section. Click on Jamboard and it loads up. Down at the bottom right, you can see this orange plus. So I tap the orange plus and it opens up a blank, brand new Jamboard ready for me to start. The first thing I'll do is tap Untitled Jam and rename that. So I will just call this Practice. That's now my jam created and named. Now, what do you see on the frame here? Well, down the left hand side, we've all our tools that we can use in Jamboard. So this first one is a little pen tool. If you tap on it, there's a few colours here and different thicknesses. Then the eraser tool. This is the selection tool. The sticky note tool. Image tool. And in the second video, I'll show you how to add images in. Shapes tool, text box, and the little laser pointer. So you can point things out as you're explaining. So Jamboard is really useful if you want to model a particular technique. You can then model it in one frame and then have the pupils go and actually carry it out. Okay, so now the first thing that we wanted to do was to create those 3 post-it notes for the 3 particular columns. So I go down here and I grab my sticky note. So click the first one and I'm going to call this OK. And I'm going to give this a green colour by clicking on green and then click Save. And there it is. If I just tap off my post-it note onto the frame, you can see that's now been added. So I'm going to add my other 2. So sticky note. This time I'm going to do that middle section. And this time I'll do it this orange colour and click Save. Now notice what you can do. I don't even have to close out of this sticky note to do my third one. I can simply create it here while this is still open. So pink, and I'm going to say this one is not okay. So help and save. And then just close out of that. You can just hit cancel here or just tap on your frame and that's you out. So moving them into the 3 categories, there, there and there. And then if I want to divide them up, I could use the pen tool. So I tap the pen tool, can choose a colour here. I'm just going to go for the black colour and draw my line. I'm using the trackpad, it's a bit wonky, but it doesn't really matter. That's what Jamboard is, messy learning. There's my 3 categories and you can see that really only took me not even a minute to set up and that's me good to go. So now I need to share it out with the pupils. So the way you share it is up here, you move your mouse over this blue share button. Notice it says at the moment, private to only me. So the point of this is that everybody is able to edit and collaborate all on the same Jamboard. So I now need to change these sharing privileges so that everybody can use it. This top section is where you can add in individuals, but I want a bigger group to use it, so I'm going to go to this second section. So I'm going to click here, change link to C2KEN. So that's our organisation account. What we can do is we can tap here and change it to anyone with the link if you want to widen that access out. Sometimes during a live lesson I do that, because if they've got their own personal account logged into their device, sometimes it can automatically switch them between. So just to save any tech problems during the lesson, sometimes I'll widen it out just for that short period. Then the next stage, at the moment, they're still only able to view it, so they can see it, but not make any changes. So to allow them to make changes, I tap that little down arrow and then I choose Editor. And you notice now, anybody with this link that I'm going to share can edit this Jamboard. I click Copy Link. And now the link is copied into my clipboard and I click Done. Now over to the live lesson, and that's where I'm going to post the link to this Jamboard. You could also post this link on your Google Classroom as a material item, and then they can click on the link from there. So now here I am in my meeting, and I go up to the chat section, click here, and I can then on my mouse right click and choose paste, or on my keyboard I can do Control and V. Then hit this send icon and off it goes. So now when the pupils click on this link directly in the chat, it will bring them straight to the Jamboard, ready to start. If they're having difficulty, what they can do is highlight the link like this and copy it and paste it into their Chrome browser. So what I've noticed is that this seems to work better on iPad and iPhone devices if they have the app downloaded. So advise your pupils to download the Jamboard app if they're using either of those type of devices. But apart from that, everybody that I've used this with has been able to get on straight away. Very little difficulty. After you've put the link into the meeting, if anybody joins after that point, remember that they can't see that link in your chat. So if you have any latecomers into your meeting, you'll have to copy that link that's already in the chat and paste it back in for them, and then they'll be able to join. So click the link and you notice this loads up. And here it is. So what you can see here is whenever I've clicked that link, here the share link has been changed to anyone with a link, so anybody who joins this can now make changes. When they arrive on this frame, across the top you'll see all their little circles with their initial arriving into the frame. So the first thing you're going to ask them to do is to get a post-it note and pop their name on it. So down the side then we've got our sticky note tool, so tap sticky note, put their name on it, click save, and on it goes. Cancel here. Now it popped it over the top here, which is not where I want it. I want all my people's sticky notes to go down at the bottom. So what you do is you choose this selection tool. So I'm tapping on it, and then I can tap on my post-it note and drag it down. If I made a mistake, I can double tap like this and change the name. So say you have two pupils with the same name and you want to put their surname in as well, and then click save, and then that's it. The next thing then, say I've made a complete mistake and I want to delete it entirely. If I put it in twice, for example, 3 dots, and I can choose delete. Okay, so the pupils would all continue that, and then they would go to the selection tool, click on the post-it note and drag it to whatever category suits them. So then finally, in addition to putting on your post-it notes, you can also then use this pen tool to add on some annotations. So if I go for the red and I write very good, and say I made a mistake, I can then click on eraser and erase it out. Now, if I wanted to completely clear the frame to start a new task, I can click up here and everything goes. Now, if a pupil accidentally did that, because remember they've all got editing privileges, you can choose to undo by clicking up here. Now, unfortunately, there is no version history yet on Jamboard. Undo a few times if there's a few errors on it. Okay, another idea then, using the similar tools that we've just learned, is to also have categories. So say, for example, in my lesson, we were learning about different types of user interfaces. So I could ask the pupils to recall for me everything we have learnt in the lesson about the 3 concepts that we studied. So these are the 3 concepts that we studied in class, and I'm going to put them like this. And then what I could use is the little shape tool. So if I click here, instead of attempting with the pen tool like I did before to draw lines, I can use this shape tool like this. And I can drag this over like this to create categories. Now notice the shape tool went over the top of my post-it note. So I want to sort that out by clicking the 3 vertical dots, order, send to back. And then look, it appears here. If I want all of these columns exactly the same width and height and so on, keep it nice and tidy if I want it, click the 3 dots here and I choose duplicate. And then I've got another one. And again, I'm going to send that to the back and then click again, duplicate, drag it across, 3 dots, order, send to back. And there I go, I've got my 3 categories, and then I can ask the pupils to grab a sticky note and to pop on everything they remember about each of these 3 areas. Then I can use the little laser tool at the bottom to highlight certain points that pupils have made and to ask them to explain further. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can add some images in, and the pupils absolutely love doing that. They love grabbing a picture from the internet and dropping it on here to help aid their communication. And that's it. So I hope you find this useful, and let me know how you got on and if you can think of any other ideas for using this collaborative Jamboard technique.